Picture this, a crisp November morning in Toronto, the kind where the wind bites just enough to remind you life's no fairy tale. Enter Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, striding into the fray like a panther in tailored wool, chic as hell, fierce as a storm about to break. No tiaras or pomp here, just a man who's traded palaces for purpose, rocking a sleek black coat over a crisp shirt, that signature red poppy pinned like a badge of unyielding grit. On November 5th, 2025, Harry landed in the Great White North for a 2-day blitz, all in the name of Remembrance Day. But this wasn't some stuffy royal nod. Oh no. This was Harry unleashing his inner firebrand, diving headfirst into the heart of Canada's military soul, rubbing shoulders with reserve forces who know the real weight of service, and shaking up veteran charities like True Patriot Love. Invited by the folks at True Patriot Love, that powerhouse foundation pumping life into Canada's military families, Harry wasn't just showing up. He was owning the room, fierce and unflinching, reminding everyone that heroes don't fade, they fight on. Let's rewind to the kickoff, because if you blinked, you missed the magic. Harry's chopper touched down, and boom, straight into the lion's den with the Canadian Army's reserve forces. We're talking the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada and the Royal Regiment of Canada, units with roots deeper than Toronto's subway system. Founded back in 1860, the Rifles are the oldest continuously serving infantry outfit in the country, battle-tested from Afghanistan's dust bowls to Iraq's chaos and Poland's tense borders. Harry didn't mince words or moments. He rolled up sleeves, metaphorically anyway, and plunged into their world, all smiles, but with that laser-focused edge that screams, "I've been there, brother." The air buzzed with that electric mix of respect and raw energy. Camo-clad reservists swapping war stories under a grey sky that felt more like a battlefield briefing than a photo op. First up, a chat that cut straight to the bone with Lieutenant Colonel Boileau, a vet who's logged time in Baghdad under Operation Impact and Warsaw for Operation Unifier. Harry leaned in, eyes locked, grilling him on how the Rifles keep the machine humming, balancing boots-on-ground ops with day jobs back home. These aren't full-time warriors. They're the everyday grinders, doctors by dawn and defenders by dusk, a tradition sparked in World War II when over 16,000 souls flooded the Navy ranks through this very unit. Harry got it, deep in his gut. "You lot are the backbone," he said, voice steady but laced with that fierce admiration, the kind forged in his own decade slinging sand in the British Army. No scripted fluff, just real talk about the invisible scars, the midnight doubts, the thrill of a mission that clicks. Boileau later spilled that Harry's questions weren't polite probes. They were the sharp jabs of a guy who stared down the same demons, pushing for details on mental health tweaks and family support nets. Chic move? Well, Harry was nodding along, then firing back with Invictus Games anecdotes, talking about how those adaptive sports flipped the script for over 6,000 wounded warriors worldwide since 2014. Fierce? Absolutely. He wasn't there to pat heads. He was igniting fuses, urging these reservists to lean into their dual lives like it's a superpower, not just a side hustle. The reservists cranked it up, unleashing a demo parade that had the whole crew on their feet. The dive team sliced through chilly harbour waters like sharks on a scent, Harry watching from the dock, arms crossed, that trademark grin cracking wider with every splash. Then the deck team's weapons display rifles snapping into precision, a symphony of steel and sweat that echoed Harry's own Helmand Province days. He clapped hard, the sound cutting through the wind, before hopping aboard one of their boats for a quick spin, hair tousled, coat flapping, looking every bit the rogue captain ready to chart unclaimed waters. The operations team followed, running tactical drills that blurred the line between training and poetry, all while Harry prowled the edges, tossing pointers like "watch the flanks, always the flanks," and capping it, the band, brass blaring "O Canada," with a twist of military march that hit like a gut punch. Harry joined in, humming low, his presence turning the tune into a battle cry. Spotlighting Commander Paul Smith stole the show, though. In 2021, Smith shattered ceilings as the first black commanding officer of his regiment, a milestone Harry zeroed in on with zero subtlety. Breaking barriers? That's the real deploy, Harry quipped, fist-bumping Smith like old trench mates. They dove into the weeds recruitment hurdles in diverse communities, the push for inclusive training that doesn't leave anyone in the dust. Smith's crew, a mosaic of backgrounds from indigenous roots to immigrant hustle, mirrored the force's Harry champions, fiercely inclusive, unapologetically tough. The atmosphere? thick with that unspoken brotherhood, laughter punctuating the gravity, but always circling back to the core. These reservists aren't relics, they're the pulse of a nation that remembers its debts. Harry, ever the catalyst, wrapped it by posing for a group shot, him front and centre in that poppy-pinned ensemble, surrounded by camo warriors grinning like they'd just conquered the day. No stiff poses, just raw, real camaraderie, the kind that lingers like gunpowder. As the morning haze burned off, Harry segued seamlessly into the next salvo, a private lunch courtesy of True Patriot Love. Nick Booth, the CEO with the no BS vibe of a guy who's seen too many homecomings go sideways, hosted the spread at an understated downtown spot. Think exposed brick, farm-to-table fuel, and zero crystal chandeliers. Booth, a force himself in bridging military gaps, pulled Harry aside early, the two locking eyes over steaming plates of maple-glazed whatever. "We've got your back, and you've got ours," Booth said, clinking glasses to the Foundation's mission, wrapping arms around vets and families with everything from PTSD therapy to kids' camps. Harry fired back fierce, sharing how True Patriot Love's grassroots grind echoes his own Centabali work in Lesotho. Raw, relentless support that doesn't wait for headlines. The table buzzed with a dozen key players, charity execs, policy wonks, a couple of reservists from the morning mingle. Conversations flowed like craft beer. Harry probing on funding black holes, Booth mapping out expansion dreams, everyone nodding over shared warps in the system. He didn't dominate, he amplified, turning spotlights on a young vet's tale of reintegration hell, his jaw set in that quiet fury that says, "Not on my watch." By dessert, commitments were flying. Harry pledging Invictus tie-ins, Booth sketching joint events. Chic? Next stop, a fundraiser for the Halo Trust, that landmine-clearing beast his mom, Diana, poured her soul into back in the 1990s. Held in a sleek waterfront venue, velvet drapes, candle flicker, the hum of high-stakes giving, Harry owned the podium like a rock star mid-solo. Dressed down to a velvet blazer over jeans because why not, he wove Diana's legacy with Halo's frontline wins. 25,000 square clicks cleared, lives reclaimed from bomb shadows. "My mother's fight is mine," he declared, voice gravelly with that unfiltered edge, eyes scanning the crowd of donors and diplomats. Stories poured out, not polished PR, but gut-wrenchers from Angola ops, tying straight to Canadian peacekeepers who've dodged the same blasts. The room hung on every word. Auction paddles flew for experiences like A Day with Harry, with proceeds going to demining kits. Fiercely personal, he called out global inaction on unexploded ordnance, jabbing at policymakers with a wink that said, "Step up or step aside." By night's end, Halo banked enough to fund a year's worth of Angola digs, Harry's alchemy turning spotlight into spotlight. Day 2 dawned with no let-up. November 6th kicked off at Sunnybrook Health Sciences Centre, Canada's vet care colossus, where Harry slipped in quietly for one-on-ones with the elders. The guys who stormed Juno Beach in '44, their stories etched like shrapnel scars. No entourage fanfare, just Harry in a hoodie, pulling up chairs in the sunlit lounge, listening as 98-year-old Sergeant Wilkins recounted D-Day's roar. "You carried the weight for us all," Harry murmured, hand on the old man's knee, his own eyes misty but steel resolve. They swapped laughs over ration-pack gripes, Harry sharing Apache heli yarns that had the room chuckling. Fierce empathy in action. He spotlighted Sunnybrook's cutting-edge prosthetics lab, touring with a double amputee vet, vowing Archewell grants for tech upgrades. Chic touch, ditching the Duke for the everyman, blending in like he was born to it. The crescendo hit that evening. True Patriot Love's 17th National Tribute Dinner, a glittering affair at the Royal York, crystal clinks, string quartet underscoring toasts to the fallen. Harry, sharp in a midnight tux, took the mic post-dinner, unleashing a speech that blended poetry and punch. Proud to be British? Damn right. But prouder still to stand with you, Canucks, the quiet giants keeping freedoms fierce. He roared about veterans not forgotten, weaving Invictus triumphs with True Patriots' family funds, calling for a no-vet left-behind reckoning. Booth flanked him, beaming as Harry rallied the 500-strong crowd, politicos, philanthropists, families, to pledge millions. Laughter rippled through his self-deprecating jabs like flying solo this trip, more room for poutine, but the fire, undeniable. He ended with a poppy toss to the crowd, wear it like armour. Harry's Toronto tango isn't just a pit stop, it's a manifesto. Amid whispers of brotherly scheduling shade, William grinding earthshot in Brazil, Harry's solo streak screams independence, a duke ditching drama for duty.